Hello, everybody, and welcome to the FFSN NFL show. I am Jess Place. You're probably expecting to hear Brian Anthony Davis and all things sort of Steelers. I mean, like it's going to have a Steelers accent. No, it's not. Not tonight. It's his wedding anniversary. He's hanging out with his wife. I'm sure it's super romantic. It's going to be great. Good. Congratulations on your anniversary, Brian Anthony Davis. Also with the night off, our friend Hogan over at the Patriots. What was the name of the Patriots? Pat's, what is it? Aidan Reed is here.
Foxborough Frenzy. Foxborough Frenzy.
Foxborough Frenzy. It was in my head and then it was gone. So that voice you hear is Aidan Reed. He is at Broad Street LinkedIn. And I am from Mile High Broncos podcasts, and also joining us from Mile High Broncos podcasts. I'm excited to share Christopher Hart, our draft guru expert. He is the Mel Kiper for the Denver Broncos. So he is going to lend some depth and knowledge to this conversation. But it's only the Broncos fans and the Eagles fans. So we're gonna kind of strip down the show this week. We're gonna talk about the NFC East and the AFC West. So without any further ado, Aidan, would you like to talk about draft needs for your Eagles and teams in your division?
Yeah, I was going to start at the top here. I think the most interesting is obviously the New York Giants at 3. Obviously they brought in Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. So it's going to be intriguing to see if they go quarterback in the draft or if they're going to ride with these two guys as kind of like a bridge quarterback and maybe tap in next year. They're lacking, star power on both sides of the ball. I know they have Malik Neighbors, and I know Tyrone Tracy Jr. has a great rookie season last year, and they paid Darius Slayton, but I don't think Darius Slayton is going to be your number 2 long term. And they always need help in the trenches. They brought in John Runyon and some other guys, but it's not going to be enough. They need to bolster up their trench work, especially competing in the NFC East that has some of the best offensive and defensive lines in the league. But yeah, it's very intriguing to see what the Giants will do at 3. Curious to see if they'll trade back or address one of those trenches needs in this pick at 3.
So, Chris, let me ask you, if you had your pick, Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston to start the season in 2025 for the Giants, what do you think? You could take your pick.
Like, am I taking a pick to see who would play the best? Or I'm a Florida State Seminoles fan, so Jameis Winston, I would roll with him. Honestly, I think him throwing the ball down the field to Malik Neighbors would be super cool. They're going to have a hard decision to make at number 3. They're entering a scenario. Everyone knows it's the worst kept secret in the draft realm right now. Cameron Ward's going number 1 to the Titans. But what are the Cleveland Browns going to do at number 2? Are they going to take Abdul Carter and add another edge rusher to an already pretty stout defense in Cleveland? Or could they take Travis Hunter out of Colorado? The Giants, what they do at 3, who knows? I would roll with Jameis Winston over Russell Wilson. That's just me, but I'm given Russell's contract, he's probably going to get the start. But it's tough, man. The Giants, they signed 2 quarterbacks who are obviously at the tail end of their careers, and they really need a long-term solution there. But do they feel comfortable with Shadur Sanders at 3? Who knows? So they're in a tough spot.
If you were the Giants, Aidan, would you take quarterback? Would you take Travis Hunter? What would you do?
If Abdul Carter's there, I'm taking Abdul Carter 100 times out of 100. I am a Penn State fan, so maybe I'm a little biased, but I think in any other draft, I think he'd go 1 overall. I just think with him and Myles Garrett both on the defensive line in Cleveland, that would be a terrifying sight for opposing offensive lines. And I'm just not high on Shedeur, if I'm being honest. So Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter are probably the two guys I'm looking at 3. I'm very curious to see, what do you think, Chris? Do you think Travis Hunter will be allowed to play both ways in the NFL, or do you think the team that drafts him is going to let him? Because there's obviously a huge injury risk with doubling the amount of snaps.
I mean, he did it in college, but there's just absolutely no way they're going to have him be a full-time starter on both sides of the ball. I think that
Packages, maybe.
That team's going to have to see, just like Champ Bailey was all those years ago coming out of Georgia, he's going to play cornerback full-time. But the Redskins back in the day did have him play some pitch snaps at wide receiver. I mean, he's such an explosive playmaker. He's going to go to a team, and he's going to want to play for a team that's going to let him do both sides of the ball. I mean, I think that New York would be an interesting fit there. You had mentioned maybe Abdul Carter to the Giants at 3. The crazy thing with that, with both the Browns, I mean, you can never have too many pass rushers. But the Giants, I mean, they had traded for Brian Burns and given him a pretty big contract, and they do have Kayvon Thibodeau. And I think they added a couple people in free agency as well. So basically the team's picking 2 and 3. Maybe they don't need an edge. But, I mean, with Travis Hunter, you got to let him play both sides of the ball. I mean, I think that he can handle, full-time reps out at the boundary corner slot and maybe 10 to 15 plays a game at wide receiver. He's just too explosive of a playmaker not to let and see what he can do on both sides of the ball. But how long he will be able to do that will be interesting. It's one thing doing it in college, and obviously he's in top-tier shape. He's a top-tier athlete. But, I mean, it's a little bit different in the NFL going up against legitimate pro-caliber players every Sunday, as opposed to, half the guys in college football don't make it to the NFL. So,
well, Chris, let's shift gears a little bit. We're going to look now at the AFC West, and I guess we should start with the team that everybody really knows and focuses on, and that's the Kansas City Chiefs. What do you see the Chiefs' biggest needs?
Kansas City. Well, I mean, obviously, Travis Kelce is not getting any younger. Obvious Hall of Fame player.
He's coming back, Chris. He's coming back.
He is coming back, but, I mean, the 2 top tight ends in the 2025 NFL draft are Penn State's Tyler Warren, who's just a phenomenal player. He's not going to be on the board when the Chiefs are picking. And then Colson Loveland out of Michigan. My nightmare scenario for just being a Broncos fan is with the Chiefs picking 31. There is a tight end out of LSU whose father was a Hall of Fame defensive end for the Miami Dolphins named Jason Taylor. And his uncle is Zach Thomas, who was a Hall of Fame linebacker for the Dolphins. That's Mason Taylor out of LSU. My nightmare scenario, like I said, is the Chiefs somehow lucking themselves into Mason Taylor to be the heir to the Travis Kelce throne in Kansas City. So I could see them going tight end there. But more than anything that we saw this past year with the Chiefs, they need offensive line help. They lost some people in free agency. I believe they traded away one of their starting guards or someone to some other team. So they need to get a lot better up front. So if they're picking at the end of the first round, I could see offensive line being a consideration there. Maybe someone like Tyler Booker out of Alabama. I mean, Josh Simmons out of Ohio State's a good player. He's coming off that leg injury, but he, if the medicals check out, he's a first-round talent at left tackle. So with the Chiefs, tight end with Travis Kelce being at the end of his career and their offensive line being in flux would be the 2 main positions that I think that the Chiefs would probably be targeting in round 1, would be my guess. Maybe defensive line. I mean, Chris Jones has been in the league for a long time, but they've got some other good players there. Spagnuolo loves aggressive defensive linemen, maybe aggressive fronts, maybe like a B-gap penetrator like Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss could be someone if he's there. They could go a lot of ways, but I think getting stronger in the trenches and then finding someone to replace Travis Kelce, who's a Hall of Famer, has got to be at the top of their priority list.
All right, Aidan, let's talk Eagles. What are the Eagles' biggest needs?
Yeah, I was gonna say, just bouncing off Chris for the Chiefs, I totally agree. I don't know how you can't prioritize the trenches here. I mean, you saw what happened in that Super Bowl. They just were no match for us on either side of the ball there on the offensive or defensive line. So I think they're definitely going to prioritize the trenches as well. And losing Joe Tooney to the Bears is a huge loss. Probably their only, besides Creed Humphrey, their only actual good offensive lineman from that year. But the Birds, I think the biggest need is going to be safety, maybe a little bit of depth too on the defensive line because we lost essentially all of our depth and some starters to Hogan's Patriots. Milton Williams, losing Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham retiring. And obviously, we traded CJ GJ, Chauncey Gardner Johnson over to the Texans. I know we expect a lot from backups Keely Ringo and Sidney Brown from last year, but definitely very thin at safety and defensive line. So I think that's where Howie will go. I'd also be curious to see I think it's a little too soon after the extension to Lane Johnson, but before we extended Lane Johnson, I was looking at a potential Lane Johnson replacement. And besides that, I think, as you know, Jess, that we've talked about before, I think the roster is looking pretty damn good.
Yeah, not a lot of needs there. I mean, you guys are the defending Super Bowl champions, so that's a great position to be in, and I think you guys could make a really good run in 2025. So, all right, let's talk arch nemesis, Chris. Let's talk about the Raiders. Pete Carroll's there. They've got Geno Smith, who I am just regularly shocked on a daily basis that Geno Smith is still in the league. But he's there. He's doing Geno Smith things, and to be honest, they're not all that bad. And Pete Carroll's like, yes, I want some more of that. So what's going on in where are they now? Las Vegas.
Las Vegas. What is it? Spytek, who used to be at the Broncos, is their GM now because they kicked Tom Telesco to the curb after 1 year with them. Obviously, you said with Pete Carroll there. He got his quarterback in Geno Smith, who is a light years where he was coming into the league, I believe, with the New York Jets. If the Jets draft a quarterback, it usually doesn't turn out well. But if they go elsewhere, they do better. We saw that with Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson. Who knows what he'll be in Miami?
He looked great last year.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things that Geno was always a really talented kid coming out of West Virginia, plus arm, plus athlete. But if you get drafted into a situation where everything's just an absolute catastrophe around you, your chances of success aren't very good. But Pete Carroll is a Super Bowl winning head coach. He's a Hall of Fame. He'll be in the Hall of Fame, obviously. But what does Pete Carroll like to do? He likes to run the football. And like I said with the Chiefs, the nightmare pick is Mason Taylor going to them. But I would be baffled if the Raiders didn't take Boise State running back Ashton Jeanty with their first round pick. It would make me sad because, for weeks and weeks and weeks, that's who Broncos fans wanted. They wanted Ashton to be a Denver Bronco because obviously the Broncos need a running back. But I would expect the Raiders taking a generational talent like Ashton Jeanty at number 6 overall. If they don't do that, what else could they, I don't know. The Raiders have some building blocks, but they've got a long way to go. Like wide receiver, I don't even know who their starting receivers would be now because Devontae Adams isn't there. I think Jacoby Myers, obviously they've got
Trey Tucker's the rookie too.
Yeah. But I mean, honestly, Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker, like I couldn't tell you off the top of my head when I'm an AFC West person who like their number 3 wide receiver is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe if Travis Hunter fell to 6, but he won't, they would consider that and maybe they'd play him there. But it just seems more and more likely as the days go on, and you've seen it for the past month, that Ashton Jeanty is probably going to be their first round pick, which makes me sad because I don't want to have to play against him and Brock Bowers. But with Pete Carroll, like I said, with Zach Charbonnet, with Kenneth Walker, he had Marshawn Lynch. He just loves to establish the run and run the ball. And in the AFC West, with the Broncos having a great defense, Spagnuolo's defense with the Chiefs, it didn't really work out in the Super Bowl, but that was a top 10 defense last year. And the Chargers defense isn't bad at all either. So to compete in the AFC West, that's a tough division, just like the NFC East is probably the 2 toughest divisions in the National Football League. You got to be able to run the ball. So I think it's a no-brain pick. people are going to say that's too high for a running back. It doesn't matter. I mean, look at how much Saquon Barkley helped the Eagles last year. Just look at the entire league kind of going more at re-emphasizing maybe there's a rejuvenation with valuing running backs. A lot of people for years used to say running backs don't matter. Well, we saw this last year that they absolutely do. As good as the Eagles are, I don't think that the Eagles win the Super Bowl last year without Saquon Barkley. So maybe Pete Carroll gets his own Saquon Barkley. I mean, they're a little bit different, but I mean, Ashton Genty in the silver and black is nightmare fuel for me, but good for the Raiders.
Well, let's take a moment. We'll take a little break, listen to some commercials. It'll be great. You can hit that 30-second advance button right there, wherever you're listening to this podcast, so that you don't really have to listen to them. But it's nice because we get a little change, and by little I mean very little. So we'll be right back. Hey, we're back. That was awesome. That was really something special. I'm glad we got a moment to help you find that 30-second skip button. I know I use it. I hope you do too. All right, so let's start. Aidan Reed, what do you think about the Washington Commanders, the Commies? Brian's not here. We can call them the Commies all we want.
Brian's not here, so my nickname stands. The Commies down in DC.
Commies.
Quick night trip down 95 down there. But yeah, Commanders obviously very successful season. I don't think anyone expected them to make the NFC Championship game. I think their biggest need is definitely going to be on the D line, particularly at edge. Free agent Dante Fowler Jr. leaving led Washington with 10.5 sacks. They definitely need some bolster on the D line, create some pressure. Their offense is in safe hands with Jaden Daniels. They're bringing in Deebo Samuel to another veteran presence on this Commanders team to help them out. But yes, and then I think they also need to address cornerback. I know they brought in Marshawn Lattimore, but he is older with injury concerns. Mike Sarin, still out of Michigan for them last year, was phenomenal. But besides that, you're looking at Jonathan Jones, which is I know Commerce fans are looking for some bolstering and depth at the cornerback position. And besides that, it'll be interesting to see if they get a true number 2 receiver behind Scary Terry. De'Ami Brown was that last year for them, but I think we can all agree that Deebo Samuel is, a fine gadget player, but he's not necessarily a receiver. You didn't see him really run routes past 10 yards with the Niners. It's a lot of short passes, When Juwan Jennings was healthy, he was the number 1 receiver. When Brandon Ayuk was healthy, he was the number 1 receiver. So it'll be interesting to see if they address the need for a number 2 down in Washington. But yeah, I think the Commanders have a lot to build on. And to be honest, until they make some noise against us, I just will always see them as being a little brother. But hopefully I'm not eating my words halfway through the season.
What do you think, Chris? You got anything to add on the needs of the Washington Commies?
For the Commanders, well, I'm trying to think what Dante Fowler, he left. He was like their leading sack person last year. I mean, I don't know, man. Like Adam Peters, he used to be with the Broncos. Look at all these Broncos dudes getting GM jobs elsewhere and helping take their teams over the top. I mean, honestly, I mean, if they lost their top sack person from last year, getting someone in the draft at edge that can come in right away and help alleviate that makes some sense. I honestly can't think of too many people in their secondary off the top of my head right now. I mean, to win in the National Football League, the Eagles have proved this every year. I mean, you got to get guys who get after the passer, and in a division like that, I mean, why not be a copycat and try to get one of the best defensive linemen or best edge players off the board? I think they lost Jonathan Allen too, and he signed with the Vikings. So they've got some DL needs and some edge needs there that they need to address in order to keep pace in the NFC. So if I was Adam Peters, I'd probably be looking to add to my defensive front 7 if I was the Commanders.
And I think it's worth noting also, I'm sure, Chris has dived into this as well in Mile High Broncos, but this is a very deep class for edge rushers. I think 32 of the top 100 rated players are all on the edge. So very talented draft class in terms of the edge position.
Yeah, absolutely. The defensive front 7. I mean, if you're looking for a defensive lineman, if you're looking for a nose tackle, if you're looking for a 5 technique, if you're looking for a guy who can play 4-eye, if you're looking for an edge guy who can play out wide 9, if you need help getting after the passer or stopping the run, this is a fabulous draft to do that. So teams that need to add, power and strength up front. I mean, this is the draft to do it in. So it's very rare to be a team like the Eagles or the Commanders that's picking late in round one, feeling like, oh man, I'm feeling really good about our options here on the defensive front seven. Because in most drafts, after like the top 15 or 20 picks, you're just hoping maybe a guy can come in and maybe get you 5 or 6 sacks in the year. But there's players up and down the board, probably well into the, I would say probably top 75, top 100 that are going to come in right away and be impact players. I mean, it's just that good. So
100%. Yeah.
Okay, shifting gears back to the AFC West, let's talk Chargers. Chris, what do you see as the needs for the Chargers, formerly of San Diego?
Well, I'm trying to recalibrate what they did this offseason. I believe that their big signing was Najee Harris, bringing him in to help bolster that running attack there. I think they also brought in Mike Williams. I think they added Mekhi Becton to their offensive line. Mekhi Becton, yeah. And
from the Eagles, yep.
Yeah, from the Eagles. I mean, I think he played for the Jets too for a while. I think that's where he started his career. Right. So, I mean, I think he came out of Louisville. I mean, it's hard to remember all these prospects over the years where they came out. But obviously being physical, and yeah, he came out of Louisville. Being physical, running the ball is a priority. You look at, Colson Loveland out of Michigan was someone that Jim Harbaugh recruited when he was with the Wolverines. They have a gaping tight end need on that roster. If he was there, I wouldn't doubt for a second that Jim would run up to the podium and be like, hey, I'm taking my guy that I helped recruit back with his time as head coach there. But, like we've talked with other teams, I mean, Khalil Mack's had been in the league for at least a decade now, right? 11, 12 years. I mean, he's got to be 34 or 35. Eventually, they're going to need a replacement for him. So maybe taking advantage of that edge class. I mean, the AFC West, man, I mean, with Patrick Mahomes, Bo Nix, obviously they have Justin Herbert, so they don't have to worry about going against him. And Geno Smith, you've got to have guys that can get after the passer and make a difference. So, I mean, maybe an heir to the throne of Khalil Mack, who's been there for a long time. I'm trying to think of who they have at cornerback. I'm not too sure who they have there. Corner, probably. I don't know.
Wittenjammer is gone. He's no longer there.
Yeah, I mean, who was the one kid out of Florida? See, I'm thinking. I'm right now. My mind.
Asante Samuel Jr.
Asante Samuel Jr. He's no longer there, as far as I know. I'm Chris Hart. He's not my cousin Cam Hart, I believe, starting on the boundary for them too. They've got Derwin James back there. But I honestly couldn't tell you off the top of my head who the other players in their secondary are. And, if they can't get a pass rusher to replace Khalil Mack, maybe adding someone to their secondary, given, the wealth of talent that teams have offensively in the AFC West, wouldn't be a bad position. That's what I would say if I was the Chargers. Hopefully anybody that the Chargers, Raiders, and Chiefs pick are busts. We don't want to see them succeed, but...
That's fun. That's the thing. Harder when you have like competency, like Harbaugh and Carroll, and like knock it off. Like we don't need the AFC West. Stop it.
All really good coaches in the AFC West, and they know what they're doing. And that's the thing. Like for 9 years, Jess and I have been sad and depressed watching the Broncos play, but they were good last year. But the thing that kind of grinds my gears and makes me anxious is, man, like. Pete Carroll, sure, he's old, but he knows how to coach football. Andy Reid, they know how to coach football. Jim Harbaugh knows how to coach football. Sean Payton knows how. The AFC West didn't get any easier this offseason, nor did the NFC East. These teams are going to get better, and they're just going to be even more competitive next year. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Just from the coaching standpoint, the firepower in the AFC West is
it's incredible.
It's like you have 4 Hall of Fame coaches. Jim
Harbaugh can't escape Pete Carroll either. Pete Carroll keeps finding his way back into Harbaugh's life.
Yeah, it's just crazy how those coaching arcs work. It's absolutely nuts. But you know what? It's cool. I'd rather see that than just kind of be in a lackluster division where it's meh. It makes football fun. If you can compete in the AFC West or the NFC East, the chances are you're going to be a really good team. So,
all right, We're going to switch gears yet again back to the NFC East. You want to take the final team? Mr.
Yes, let's do it. And I think
I can't put my finger on which team it is. It's let's see, it's the Giants.
it's the worst of them all. It's the worst of them all. That disgusting star. No, I'm just kidding. It's the Dallas Cowboys.
Super Bowl champion.
Not America's team, not in my eyes. But no, I'm just kidding. We're going to talk about the Cowboys and kind of touching on what Chris said earlier. I kind of compared them to the Raiders a bit. Just exciting for these two teams because they need a star on offense. They need a wide receiver or they need a running back. It's been the story for God knows how long that it's been the CeeDee Lamb show and no one else. I mean, the dude is a target machine. And, Jerry Jones, he's got some work to do. Bringing in Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams isn't going to fix the problem. I don't think he's going to fall that far, but Ashton Gentry is another player I think the Cowboys are praying will fall to them, but I'm thinking more maybe Omari and Hampton out of UNC because we saw how lackluster that running back room was last year. I know Rico Dowdle hit 1,000 yards, but I don't think any team really wants Rico Dowdle, especially the Cowboys, to be their number one option there in the backfield. And yeah, it's been the story for how long that CeeDee Lamb is by himself in the receiving core, and there's no one else who can back him up. And then also, I think they definitely need to bolster their depth on the entire defensive side of the ball. Really, I mean, you saw what happened last year when two of their top guys in D-Law, DeMarcus Lawrence, and Michael Parsons go down. The whole team falls apart. They're very top heavy, and they're spending a lot on their key guys. And if those key guys go down, they're going to need other guys to step up, next man up mentality. So definitely need some more depth on defense, and then wide receiver and running back are what I think the Cowboys are going to be focusing on in this year's draft.
What do you think, Chris? Do you think that the Cowboys are going to are they going to have a real hard year? It seems to me like this could be a year where it's just really bad in Dallas.
I don't necessarily know about that. I mean, they're light years behind where the Eagles are at, and I think most people expected Jaden Daniels to eventually be good, but I don't think anyone really expected Dan Quinn in his first year in Washington to have that team playing like they did. I mean, Dallas did lose some players, but I mean, they have good players on their team. I mean, they added, Dante Fowler in there, who was the leading sack. I mean, swapping teams, just trading places, the NFC East. They got a 10.5 sack guy there. I mean, they still got Micah Parsons. I can't remember where DeMarcus Lawrence went. I mean, he's been in the league. He came out of Boise State like a decade ago, but he's still been a productive player. I think that, to compete in the NFC East, they're going to need a running back and a wide receiver. And I'm not going to talk down about Javonte Williams. It didn't work out here in Denver after that catastrophic injury. But I can't believe that Jerry Jones would be complacent going into the season with him being the running back number one there. So, I mean, like Reed said, maybe Omari and Hampton makes sense. I'm thinking of another player potentially. I think what is Dallas picking, like 10 or 12 or something like that?
12,
Yeah, 12. Teteroa McMillan out of Arizona.
Yeah.
Another big body target, like 6'4", 215 pounds. I mean, he's drawn comparison to Mike Evans. I don't buy that just because Mike Evans has a lot longer wingspan. He was just so much stronger at the catch point than he was. But if they're looking for another option there to kind of alleviate CeeDee Lamb's pressure on his shoulders, that wouldn't be a bad pick. Maybe they like Matthew Golden out of Texas. I don't really think that he should be a first-round pick or a top 15 pick. It wasn't until Isaiah Bond went down with injury he kind of had a showing this year. He only really had 4 games, but I mean, adding firepower on offense makes the most sense for them. I would put Teteroa McMillan or Marion Hampton as probably their top candidates, picking in the top 12 there. But who knows what Jerry Jones is going to do? He's going to do Jerry stuff. I mean, he's going to do
Jerry Jones does what Jerry Jones wants.
I mean, I think that Eagles fans or Commanders fans or Giants fans. I mean, Jerry Jones has probably been the gift that keeps on giving. Like, I'm not going to trash talk the Cowboys too much, but I mean, it seems, you just kind of peruse message boards or social media. It's like a lot of Cowboys fans just wish the guy would get out of it. I mean, he can't get out of his own way.
I hope he lives forever, Chris. I hope he lives
Right.
forever.
I still have flashbacks to when Ron Dane signed with the Broncos all those years ago, and he played for the Giants, and he rolled those guys on Thanksgiving Day, and that was like 12, 15 years ago, something like that.
Overtime victory. Who doesn't
Right.
remember that game?
Right.
I
It's just one of those things. Like I have some friends that are Cowboys fans, and it's just like they're perpetually sad just because Jerry Jones they think is, I don't know, like the Emperor Palpatine of the NFL to them or something like that. Like he's just public enemy number one to them. But yeah, I'd agree with Reed. Probably finding out some offensive firepower to get that going and help out Dak Prescott.
Every Dallas Cowboy fan I know lost their mind when he hired Brian Schottenheimer to be the head coach. They were just like, what? Like, I get the name. Like having a Schottenheimer coaching in the NFL, that's great. I'm a traditionalist. Loved Marty. Loved his dad. That's great. But no one really saw this hiring coming, and no one was excited about it. And that's the reason I asked you the question earlier. I honestly think that the Cowboys are going to struggle just because there's going to be a major disconnect from owner to coach and then to the players. Like there's a problem brewing there already just because they hired who they hired. Also, just as an aside, like it seems like this kind of thing always happens once your ownership gets so like to a certain age. Like if you look at like the Bills, like they suffer. Like the Broncos, they granted, there were other things at play in there.
That was a pretty unique situation there.
It was, but it's almost like they hit a certain age and suddenly can't, like it just like the franchise suffers as a result. And nowhere is there a better example than the Dallas Cowboys. So
yeah,
all right, Chris.
They sure aren't what they used to be in the early 90s, man. America's team no more. Nope.
Some would say that might have been a Jimmy Johnson thing and not necessarily a Jerry Jones thing, but I don't want to get into that. So
yeah, it's been a while since they've been relevant. Whatever.
You ready to talk?
The crazy stat is that like all the teams have made in the NFC have made the NFC Championship game since like 2012 or something, and the Cowboys are the only team that haven't, and then they're since 1995. So sorry to rub it in a little more, Cowboys fans, but I have to.
You're not sorry, and that's okay. That's why we listen.
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you how many times the Cowboys have made the playoffs since the 90s. Probably less than like 3 or 4. Who knows? Like I don't know. Like
always
not
choke.
good.
They always choke.
Momo with the mishandled extra point, and it just kind of goes downhill from there, doesn't it?
Yes. That was an awesome
Chris, tell us about the Broncos. What are the Broncos' biggest needs?
Well, Sean Payton and George Payton are on this mythical pursuit for a joker on offense. They think they might have got it in Evan Ingram, but I don't necessarily believe that. Javonte Williams is gone. He's with the Cowboys now. So, even as inefficient as Javonte was last year, they're looking at trying to find a running back who can at least get 200 snaps as a rookie to come in and compete. Obviously, Ashton Genty would be the dream there. A lot of people would like Omari Hampton. But as we get closer to the draft, it's probably seems more and more unlikely that they're going to be there. I don't know if there's any other back that I would want to take in round one if I were the Broncos. A lot of people seem to like Travion Henderson out of Ohio State. He's got those joker qualities. He's a fantastic wide receiver. You can line him up in the slot. You can put him at different positions to be a mismatch weapon. So I think running back, just by virtue of the amount of snaps that someone needs to take over, is the number one need for the Broncos. Looking toward, an eye towards the future with everything. The Broncos had a lot of success on the defensive side of the ball in 2024. Zach Allen was a revelation. John Franklin Myers, who they got for a 6th-round pick swap, had a great year signing Malcolm Roach. He did really well. They brought back DJ Jones, who's been a long time, almost 9 years. This is going to be like his 10th year in the league at nose tackle. 3 of those 4 guys are slated to be free agents at the end of the season. So we might as well take a page out of Howie Roseman's book over there with the Eagles and maybe draft a defensive lineman in the first round. Your potential. I think that they're going to come to an agreement with Zach Allen on an extension. He played like an All-Pro last year. But, I don't think that they're going to be able to afford John Franklin Myers, who's a really good player too. And Malcolm Roach has probably got a well-deserved pay raise coming his way. So they have to find someone to be that fifth guy in the rotation that can come in and maybe play 25 to 30% of the snaps, whether it's an interior guy or a guy who can line up more wide and Vance Joseph's front. So I would put defensive line there. Sean Payton has said that he feels really comfortable with his wide receiver corps. We've got Cortland Sutton. We've got Marvin Mims Jr., who's going to go into his third year. He's a two-time Pro Bowler and All-Pro as a return specialist. He seemed to get better as the year went on when Sean Payton started using him in creative ways. They've got Devon Vele, who they got late in the draft last year, who was from Utah, another big-bodied target. They've got Troy Franklin in his second season, who was one of Bo Nix's teammates at Oregon. And, I'm relatively high on the potential of those guys, but Cortland Sutton's going to be 30 years old. He's in the final year of his deal. They have to think long-term with Bo Nix and them spending so much on defense. If they extend Nick Bonito, if they extend Zach Allen, they're going to have to find cost-effective measures somewhere on offense to help Bo Nix out. I don't think that they're necessarily going to draft a wide receiver in the first round, but I think that wide receiver should absolutely be in play in the first round for the Broncos. I don't think Teteroa McMillan out of Arizona is going to fall to where the Broncos are picking at 20. I do really like Emeka Egbuka out of Ohio State. I've only done one mock draft so far this year, and that was back in October for Mocktober, and I had Egbuka to the Broncos, on Halloween. My evaluation of him hasn't changed. He's a really good player. He's someone that can play in the slot primarily, but also play outside. I mean, think of all the different wide receivers that have come out of Ohio State over the years. I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr., Jackson Smith-Njigba. I'm going to forget these guys. I think Terry McLaurin. I mean, there's just a bunch of – Ohio State has first round wide receivers every year, and I don't see why Egbuka can't be the same. So if I were the Broncos, running back, defensive line, wide receiver would be primary considerations, because if you want to compete in the AFC West, you have to have good offensive skill players. And while I'm high on the potential of that group, I mean, I'd like to see some more explosive playmakers around Bo Nix. So, I mean, there's a lot of different ways they could go. My kind of dream draft scenario for the Broncos right now is maybe Shadur Sanders falls, or Jackson Dart rises up the board, or Jalen Milroe, like these teams in that 20 to 25 area that might need a quarterback. Someone trades up and gives the Broncos some future picks and extra picks this year, and they maybe can knock out a couple of needs. I would also put in tight end as a need for the Broncos as well. Tyler Warren's not going to be there. I don't know if Colson Loveland's going to be there. It's probably too high for Mason Taylor, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Sean Payton really likes what he sees in him and takes him. I mean, that might be a reach to some people, but I don't know. I mean, the Broncos could do a lot of different things, but I think that surrounding Bo Nix with talent is probably the utmost importance. But if they don't do that, making sure that they've got a legitimate, starting talent for next season on the defensive line would be important.
It's finally happened where the Broncos have ownership in place, they have coaches in place, they have a quarterback in place. Like, they finally have all the basics that you can build around. And so that's what I believe they're going to be doing. Is it finally going grocery shopping for this franchise? They're gonna be able to pair one player with another and beef out this roster the way it needs to be beefed out. It is a luxury, and I'm sure Reed can talk about this. Like, when you have a team that is stable and functional, and you can enjoy the draft. You can just go out and pick those groceries that you need to build your squad. It's a great feeling as an NFL fan. Like Reed, are you sweating the draft? Are you worried about the draft? Are you think that, I mean, is there going to be a pick that you're gonna slam your fist on the table and complain and say, "Damn, we screwed up"?
I mean, you hit it on the head, Jess. I am not stressed at all. This is a stress-free draft. And, even if there are picks that are questionable or something I'm not too confident in, I just say, in Howie we trust. He's got us 2 rings in the past, 7 years. And no matter what he does, I trust that he knows more than me. So, it's kind of building off of what you're saying. If you have that GM that, you really do trust. It's almost like he can do no wrong until wrong happens, if that makes sense. No matter what he does, I'm gonna stand by it until it doesn't work out. So yeah, it's definitely a luxury that in most of my seasons, I haven't really had up until recently. So it is a great feeling. I feel like it's how the Patriots felt during their dynasty, where it's like, oh, it doesn't matter who we draft because we're going to pick up a guy in the 5th round that's going to be a starter for us in the Super Bowl. So that's where I'm at, Jess.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, I think we've covered the AFC West and the NFC East. Here's the question of the day, though. Will the Eagles... I mean, it's hard for them to get better. They won the Super Bowl. Will the Eagles go back to the Super Bowl next year? Will they win it?
Again, this is way too early for me to be riding my high horse. But look, all I'm going to say is I'm not sleeping on the Cowboys. I think, they were missing a lot of their pieces last year. I'm very interested to see what happens in the NFC North. I think they proved that they were a bit fraudulent last year. I mean, they didn't win a single playoff game. And the Lions, which is one of the powerhouses, losing both their coordinators. We'll see how that affects them. But I'm feeling pretty good, Brian. Wow, I almost said Brian. I'm feeling pretty good, Jess. I'm feeling pretty damn good.
I am honored that you would confuse me with Brian Anthony behind the Steel Curtain Network. What about you, Chris? You think the Broncos are going to improve, or are they going to get worse?
I mean, they're going to get better in this year's draft. It's the first time that they've had a full slate of picks in the top 4 rounds since the 2021 draft, when defensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles, Vic Fangio, was head coach of the Broncos. And with that first pick, we took Patrick Surtain, man, and he's been an all-pro player. I mean, it's nice. Like you said, the Broncos don't have to worry about finding a quarterback. It's, they're literally going just to try to find the best players to make their team successful. So I think the Broncos are going to get better. I think they're still going to be a 10-win team next season. But I mean, Pete Carroll coming in there and to Las Vegas, it makes that team better. The Chargers will get better. The Chiefs are going to be the Chiefs. I mean, it's going to be the AFC West will be tougher in 2025 than it was last season, but the Broncos are going to be better. And I think with another year of Bo Nix in the system, surrounding him with some weapons, adding more pieces on the defensive side of the ball, the Broncos are going to be just as good as they are last year. I expect them to make the playoffs, but man, it's going to be a cutthroat division. It's going to be a tough road to hoe for any team in the AFC West.
Well, you heard it here, folks. Christopher Hart of Mile High Broncos podcast is predicting an Eagles-Broncos Super Bowl. So let's see if it happens.
Yeah. But that would kind of be awesome. I mean, like, it would suck having to go up against Vic, but I mean, it's, that's the thing, with the Eagles draft aspirations. If they need some secondary help, they've got the guy manning their defense who knows how to find defensive backs and quarterbacks. I mean, they got Cooper DeJean last year. I mean, Iowa kids are just well coached. I mean, that's just whatever. But I mean, and any secondary concerns or defensive concerns, knowing that you've got Howie Roseman teaming up with Vic Fangio to try to figure out how to make that defense better, I mean, than it already is. I mean, they're good to go. I mean,
yes.
I mean, and they've got I think they've got like 4 5th-round picks too. Like, I mean, the Eagles are just, Howie Roseman's going to clean up like he always does. So
he's the man.
With 5, they'll be able to move around and do what they want to do and get who they really want.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Eagles are poised to really mop things up. I mean, most of the time you're sitting at 32 and you're not feeling too good about it, because it's like, well, man, 31 of our players are already off the board. But in this year's draft, with the depth, kind of aligns with where they need to get some help, and they've got extra picks in the process. So I think the Eagles are gonna do just fine. The rich get richer.
I was going to say that, and then you just took it out of my mouth, and that's okay. That's okay.
From your lips to God's ears, Jess.
Yeah, that's right. I think we've come to the end of the show, guys. I think it's been a good podcast. Everybody who wants to hear about the AFC East and the AFC North, you got to tune in, listen to Brian Anthony Davis and Nick Hogan, Foxborough Frenzy, Behind the Steel Curtain Network. They are off tonight. I'm sure Brian is pitching mad amounts of woo at his wife tonight with their anniversary. Yeah, the draft is a week from this Thursday. It's coming up. It's going to happen. We're going to know what happens, and some people are going to be stoked. Some people are going to be less stoked. But be sure to tune in to the Fans First Sports Network for the NFL show. There's all sorts of other exciting shows on this channel. So you want to subscribe there. You want to subscribe over at Broad Street LinkedIn so you can listen to Aidan Reed wax poetic about his Philadelphia Eagles. And make sure you listen to Mile High Broncos podcasts. You can listen to me make fart noises under my arms. Or you can listen to Chris give insightful, well-reasoned draft insight. You can take your pick. There's just so much football content over here on the Fans First Sports Network that you can find what you're looking for. So until next week, there is this thing we like to do here, Chris. We like to say something together. It's yay. It's yay football, right? Right? Isn't it, Aidan?
Go football, baby.
Go football. I always say
Go
yay.
football.
And I screw it up. See, clearly it's a central part of my week. But as we wrap up the show, you can either say go football or yay football, whatever you want. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3.
Go football.
Go football.
Woo woo.